There is a kind of strength that doesn't show up in photos, doesn't make a sound, and doesn't impress at first glance. It doesn't draw attention, doesn't ask for recognition, and is almost never applauded. Even so, it's the only one that never fails, because while everything visible can be lost, taken, or destroyed, this strength grows precisely where no one is looking. And that's why so few people develop it. They live trying to appear strong, when what truly changes a life is being strong. Inside, in silence, when there are no witnesses. From a very young age, you learned that strength is what is seen. Who speaks loudest, who imposes their will, who wins arguments, who shows quick results, who proves something to others. But this idea creates noisy and fragile people at the same time. A single criticism, a rejection, or a frustration outside the script is enough for everything to crumble, because their strength depends on external observation. It depends on validation. It depends on applause, and everything that depends on the outside can be taken away. The unseen strength works in reverse. It's born when you persevere, even without encouragement. When you maintain discipline without an audience. When you hold your composure without needing to explain anything. It's the strength of those who wake up early without posting, who study when no one demands it, who improve in silence while the world remains distracted. This strength doesn't impress now, but it decides everything. Later, perhaps you're experiencing exactly that invisible phase, the one where it seems like nothing is happening. You strive, you control yourself, you learn, you change your attitudes, but the results still don't appear, and that bothers you. You feel like giving up. You feel like going back to making noise, proving something, looking for shortcuts. This is where most people abandon the process, not because they aren't capable, but because they can't stand being invisible for a while. The problem is that all real construction begins in the invisible. Roots grow in the dark, foundations are laid underground, and those who don't accept this initial period can never sustain what comes after. They want to harvest without planting deep. They want recognition before consistency. They want respect without maturity. And when something finally appears, they can't bear the weight. The unseen strength is built in the small details, in the choice not to react, in the decision to continue even when tired, in the commitment maintained even when no one notices. It's the strength of those who say no to immediate pleasure because they see something greater ahead. It's not glamorous, it's not comfortable, but it's solid, and solidity always beats speed in the long run. While many live by appearances, those who develop this strength live by practice. They don't need to seem confident because they have become stable. They don't need to convince because they know. They don't need to explain themselves because they understand their own path. This person begins to move differently. They speak less. They observe more. They act with precision, and this generates something rare. Silent respect. People don't know exactly what has changed in you, but they feel it. They sense that they can no longer provoke you so easily, that their words no longer throw you off balance, that their opinions no longer control you. And this deeply bothers those who live by reaction, because your calmness exposes their fragility. Your constancy reveals their instability. Your invisible strength exposes the emptiness of the strength displayed. But this path comes at a price. You will be misunderstood. They will say you've grown cold, that you've become distant, that you've closed yourself off. They will confuse maturity with arrogance, silence with weakness, focus with coldness. And you need to learn not to explain yourself, because every excessive explanation is an attempt to ask permission to be who you have become. And those who build something solid don't ask permission. The unseen strength also teaches you to deal with pain in a different way. Instead of running away, you face it. Instead of numbing yourself, you learn. Instead of complaining, you adjust. You begin to understand that pain is not a mistake along the way. It's part of the process, and that every difficulty not faced today returns greater tomorrow. So you stop running, you stop distracting yourself. You stop hiding behind excuses. And this strengthens you from the inside out. Over time, you realize you don't need to win every battle. Some aren't worth the energy. Some only serve to distract you. The invisible force gives you clarity to choose where to spend your attention. Because attention is power, and those who waste attention on everything lose the ability to build something relevant. While the world moves at a fast pace, reacting to every stimulus, you learn to slow down from within. Not to stop, but to act with intention. You understand that haste is the enemy of consistency, that anxiety is the enemy of clarity, that comparison is the enemy of identity, and you begin to move at your own pace without needing to keep up with the external noise. This change scares some people, because when you stop competing, stop proving yourself, stop reacting, you leave the emotional game that keeps many people trapped. You become unpredictable, not because you change all the time, but because you don't react as expected. And those who don't react as expected cannot be easily manipulated. The unseen force also redefines success for you. It's no longer about appearing successful, but about being consistent. It's no longer about accumulating things, but about sustaining who you've become. It's no longer about approval, but about inner peace. And this redefinition changes everything. Because now you don't get lost trying to meet expectations that aren't yours. You begin to understand that true power lies not in controlling the world, but in not being controlled by it. That mastering your own mind is more valuable than mastering any environment. That those who govern themselves from within walk firmly on the outside, even when the terrain is unstable. Perhaps no one is applauding your efforts today. Perhaps no one is recognizing your inner changes. Perhaps it seems like you're alone in this process. But that's not a sign of failure. It's a sign that you're building something that doesn't depend on the gaze of others. Something that doesn't crumble with criticism. Something that doesn't disappear when the initial enthusiasm fades. Most people only realize this strength when it's too late, when they face a crisis, a loss, an emptiness they don't know how to bear. Then they understand that appearances don't hold anyone up, that motivation doesn't sustain anyone, that only the strength built in silence keeps someone standing when everything is shaking. When the results start to appear, they come in a different way. They aren't quick bursts of energy. They are solid achievements. They are changes that last. They are doors that open because you are prepared, not because you were lucky. And those who see it from the outside think it happened out of nowhere. But you know. You know how many times you persevered without motivation? How many times you controlled yourself? How many times you chose the difficult path? How many times you became invisible so as not to get lost? At this point, you no longer need to prove anything, because those who build invisible strength don't live to convince. They live to achieve. And this completely changes the way you walk through life, with less anxiety, less comparison, less need for validation, more clarity, more focus, more presence. If you feel you are in this process, even if you are still confused, even if you are still tired, know one thing: this silent phase is not a waste. It is preparation. It is the foundation being laid, and everything built on a solid foundation can withstand the weight of time. Now tell me honestly, in what area of your life are you silently building strength? Where have you been persevering even without recognition? Write in the comments. This simple act reinforces your commitment to who you are becoming. If this content resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this now. Big goals in a world obsessed with appearances. Those who develop unseen strength always go further.